6:30 on the dot. I couldn't do that again. I've tried. I have had this horrible headache all day. And Oscar, go sit down. You're making noise. Go sit down. Go. Go sit. Go. And I've had this horrible headache all day, and I was trying to lay down, and then the moment I tried to lay down to sleep off headache, my neighbor decides he's going to cut down and chipper shredder a tree. Like, my only neighbor close enough to have any kind of sound carry to my area, and oh my god. Anyway, Heavy Duty Country came out. New video. I thought, oh, let's see what this is about. Y'all, I really want to think that somewhere on this planet there is young conservative adult men, there are young conservative adult men that have got their crap together and that can maneuver through life without blaming someone else. But I'm beginning to wonder. I know, I was so mad. I was like, listen, I like both of you. I want to like both of you. I've had red flags about HDC since I first saw him, because the first time I watched a video, it said, click on the next video, and I did, and he was in a bed with a half-naked woman on him slapping her butt. And I was like, what? That escalated quickly. But then I was like, hey, I'm going to hang on. When we all get on the internet, we do stupid things. Let's just let him grow up a little bit. But today I watched a grown-ass man mad at another grown-ass man because he made an adult decision that he didn't think through, that didn't pan out, because he couldn't complete the task on his own. He required help. And when he didn't get the help that he thought he was going to get, like, was it in the contract, dude? Who did you sign a contract with? It was between you and the person you signed the contract with. No one else is supposed to help you make your music. It's your music. Personal pronouns. Woo! They suck. So I was just like, guys, can we stop? And then the first thing he asked is to get someone in the boxing ring. I mean, it goes from, I have a valid beef, to let's measure our pee-pees. And I'm just like, this is not necessary. This is not necessary at all. This was such like a to my evening. And he's mad at Ron, but the clip he showed of Ron is Ron basically saying, dude, if you can't speak to me appropriately, then we're not going to have contact. So if you want to apologize and try again, that's fine. But, unless you apologize, and we're not going to go down this road again, we're not going to talk. I think that's great. That's called a boundary. That's called a healthy boundary, because you shouldn't talk to people that are going to be nasty, And I'm sorry, but here's the way I view it. I've got a video that's uploading. If Heavy Duty Country, who I'm forevermore going to call Heavy Duty Crap, if he got into Tennessee, rubbed elbows with Ron, had this amazing experience where Ron talked him, into being excited about a possible music career, that's a pretty daggone special moment that you don't get a lot, and many people don't get to have that. And it's like, why are you mad that you had this great opportunity? It's your opportunity. Are you going to follow through with it? It's not, if it's your music deal, then, as many good intentions as busy people may have, it's going to be your music deal. You're going to have to be the one to follow through with it. And I don't know why he's so upset, because if he had a music deal, he should still have enough belief in himself to go and try to do it. Ryan blocked him from what he said. He got on the internet and said whatever the hell he wanted to say, so how was he blocked? If he came at me trying to be disrespectful, I would be like, I'm not going to talk to you until you can have a decent conversation either. I don't live to be cussed out, by cowboys. I mean, seriously. How old are these men? Heavy Duty Country needs to really think about this. Those were opportunities that most people don't get. I'm glad he got him. The follow-through is up to him. It may be awesome that Ron was excited and may have been like, yo, brother, if I can help you, I'll help you. He may not be in a place to help him. And that's if Heavy Duty Country signed the contract, it's Heavy Duty Country's contract. It's up to him. You don't sign individual contracts and then say, but my buddy was supposed to help me do it. No, it's yours. You're an adult. You make it happen. You make it come to fruition. And I dare say, if he really wanted to make it happen, he could still make it happen. It just wouldn't have the influence of Upchurch on the end of it. Which, if Upchurch is such a sorry person, why does he need his influence? So I just find all of this a bit mean girlish. I find it all a bit stupid. I find the whole, let's get in the octagon. It's like, how old are you? How old are you? And here's the thing that really bothers me is when he gets mad at people, you see the same attack to everyone he gets mad about. And you see that same laugh. And and y'all, I've cringed so many times watching his videos. But I'm like, I want to support this young man. He'll grow out of that. He's still young. He's got a lot of learning, But at this point, I've seen him attack so many people in the same way. I'm like, ownership over himself and his career and his decisions seems to be something that he doesn't have. Because he's always constantly blaming something on someone else. And I'm like, no. Justin, honey, if you could remove yourself from my ass, I'd appreciate it. Because right now, I pretty much think you're a leech, and I know you're a hacker, and I've already turned your name in. And if you want the popo to really understand how much of an irritation you are to me, just keep it up. And can somebody block him? Because, you know something, buddy, you're really becoming annoying, and I don't like things that rub me raw. I have to deal with corduroy britches. I ain't dealing with you. So that's how you handle somebody. But no, Heavy Duty Country had to get on there and start talking about clothing and his little tap pants and his little, and I'm like, wait, what? We just went from an adult disagreement to middle school. So I was just appalled at all of this. Bless Upchurch. We know Upchurch gets very excited about people, especially he gets excited about people that are excited about music or people that may want to go into the music industry. We all know he's helped so many people create and start careers. He's helped so many people believe in themselves. Thank you, Denise. I appreciate that. And I love that about church. I love that about him. Ryan has such a genuine compassion for people that want to try to do things. And he's like, dude, you can do this. It's doable. I did it. You can do it. And he's very much, charismatic. And I'm sure that HDC just got on the endorphin bandwagon and was not thinking like an adult, was thinking, it was all amped up and made a decision that probably wasn't in his best interest. I saw his one music thing and it was not good. I wanted to like it. I wanted it to be great. It was not good. But I was willing to not say anything nasty. I was willing to say, something, he'll grow in it, he'll try again, it'll get better. And so we all give these allowances to people. Except for him. Because if you say one sentence of, hey buddy, if I can help, I will, he will remember that for an entire year. He will call you on it. Even though it was an inclination of, if I can, I will, he heard it as, I'm going to produce this record for you, apparently. So I just think the whole beef is stupid. I think as an adult, he entered into an adult contract he probably didn't think through, and now he's finding himself probably not competent enough to create a music album, and so he's wanting to shove this off on someone else. When he should have just gone here and said, something, I was going to try my hand at music. I don't think that's where my strong suit is. I don't think that is where my strengths lie. I'm going to stay in the political opinion realm, and we're going to keep it there, people. And that was an expensive lesson. I've had a lot of expensive lessons in my life. So many. But I don't get mad at other people because it was my decision. I was an adult. I entered into that decision. If he signed a contract, he signed a contract. But he's either going to have to follow through with that and make it happen on his own, or he's going to have to admit he doesn't have the skills on his own to do it. Either way, I don't see why it's someone else's problem. It's like me having one of my girlfriends tell me about the best pair of panties she's ever bought, and she loves them, and they fit her so well, and they don't pinch her, and they were well priced, and you've got to try them. Really, if you're having issues finding underwear, try these. Then I go buy them, and I don't like them, so therefore I want her to pay me back for what I spent because she talked me into it. It's stupid. Absolutely stupid. Now, am I a fan of Boozy? No. I am not. Let's just say that right off the bat. I would have picked so many other people for him to bring on his album rather than Boozy. But I also know that I don't make Ryan's decisions. He does. It's his album. He gets to bring on the people he wants to bring on. And I don't know the motivation for bringing Boozy on, but I will say kudos to him for trying to reach out and make a bridge into two different worlds so that we can see that they can actually professionally work together, that there can be communication and dialogue, and there can be an effective product created from two people that don't have to share everything. So, yay, he puts his money where his mouth is all the time. I appreciate that about Ryan. He tries new things, and he really does bring in people that I don't envision seeing on his album. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. But again, not my decision, his. Now, because HTC went and did a deep dive on Boozy, I now know way more about Boozy than I would ever want to know. And a lot of it is just an ignorant man being an ignorant man saying ignorant things on the ignorant internet because he's ignorant. That bravado that those people have, it turns sour and it says stupid, horrible things. Am I going to ever support Boozy? No. No. But I can respect the work relationship that they created and the fact that they both went out of their comfort zones. So, I mean, this whole dig, this whole throw mud, I hate that we're supposed to be in the same group of, conservative country folk. But the moment there is an issue, they turn and they get so nasty and they can't sit back and think for 5 seconds on their own. And I really find that unbecoming. And for all the red flags that I have seen on his channel, this is probably the worst. The drama, getting dressed up, having to burn the RAGC. He's doing these things. He's using symbology because his substance and his words are probably not going to do the trick for him. So he's using the drama and the symbology to irritate and aggravate and create an issue with Creek Squad. And so if I had anything to say to Creek Squad, I would be like, listen, don't respond. He wants to have an issue. He wants to create a battle. He wants to create a him against them momentum. It's what he's done with the what is the NFAC and all those other people he's created that I'm pit against them, and it's worked for him. Let's not give him that. Because what this boils down to is he made an impulsive adult decision where he dropped some coin based on what he thought of his own talent, and it come to find out he may not have had the talent he thought he needed to complete this task. Sorry. It happens. Ask Jenny Craig. She's got a lot of my money. I'm still fat. So, I just found it all very petty. And why divide? I mean, we're struggling to find people that we can align with in the society anyway. We're bonding has become something that humans suck at right now. So when we find people that we can place a little bit of maybe trust or a little bit of energy within, why would you then want to be divisive and break up what very small group we have that we like? Anyway, why would you want to take away or make people have to choose? Why? Very good. Yeah, he made man excellent. I'm so glad you popped on. He did not. He never showed the contract, never proved the contract, never proved payment of a contract. He is only talking. That's why in the video I'm uploading, I'm like, did you sign a contract with Holler Boys? If not, then your beef is with whoever you signed the contract with. And you need to go to them to see if you can get your money back. But basically, it was an impulsive adult decision that he did not think through, and now he can't complete the task. I'm sorry if he doesn't believe in himself. That's not my problem. It's not Ryan's problem. It's his problem. But he's wanting to off-put it as someone else's problem. And I was just really taken aback by just the arrogance. And I'm sorry. As a female, I'm so tired of watching him strut around like a banty rooster and jet that chin up and go, ah, ha, 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 when he's thinking people are scared of him. Because that is the fakest laugh I've ever seen. And there have been some red flags in his behavior to where I'm like, okay, this is someone who wants to be an alpha male but is struggling. But he's found a place where he can be an alpha. Let's see what he does with the alpha energy. Well, we found out. Not a whole lot of nothing. So I'm just saying, this man was given a lot of opportunities that a lot of people will never see. He was basically befriended by Ryan. Ryan was like, I like what you're doing, man. They had great energy. He was excited by the world that Ryan showed him, and Ryan said, but bro, you can do this too. Anybody that sets their mind to it can make their dreams come true. We've all heard Ryan say this to so many people and help so many people. We know how he is. He helps everybody. Should he have to stop his life and drop and help a grown man complete a contract that he signed? No. Now, he may have had every inclination of wanting to help him back in the day. But there, life happens. We've all had to walk away from things we really wanted to be part of because we just couldn't. Time, energy, sickness, new issues, new responsibilities. It just doesn't always happen. And I just find it very petty that he's taking it to this level. Oh yeah, both of them, and I talk about both of them in the video. They both have deficits, absolutely, absolutely. Both have deficits, and Ryan needs to understand that he has an infectious personality, and he needs to chill out sometimes because a lot of people that spend time with him get amped up, and then they walk away, and it's like you unplug them from a battery, and they kind of get lost. And they get mad that they don't have that energy all the time, and it turns into resentment. But Ryan can also, he's doing so much better now. Instead of getting into a squabble and stuff, he told him, do what you need to do. I'm not in control of you, but I will tell you that you're not going to call and talk to me like this. And if you want to apologize, we'll try, but otherwise, no. I think that's healthy. I think it's healthy to say, no, you're not going to call and talk to me like a piece of crap. If you want to have a conversation, it needs to be a professional conversation. If it's about a contract or if it's about a music issue, but don't call and cuss me out and think I'm going to be like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. That's not how life works. But I'm still sitting here trying to figure out, like, if I entered into a music contract with someone, and I had a friend that was like pumping me up, and then that music, that really wanted to help me, but then life happened, and I completed the music contract, and it wasn't what I wanted it to be. Who would I be disappointed in? Me. Because that was all me. That was me making adult decisions to spend my adult money doing adult things that I wanted to have an adult career with, and it didn't happen. I'm upset with me because nobody else's energy or money went into that but me. And it's like, what in the world? Who is this Smith girl? That's it. Ryan doesn't owe him anything else. Like, he got so much more than most people ever get. And it's just like, how much do you think you deserve? And is that potentially the core issue here? Is that we're walking around thinking we're owed this? Why? Why do you think you're owed something? Why do you think someone else's life should bend to yours? And when you attack people and you attack everyone the same way and you demean them and discredit them and try to demoralize them, and you do this, this is the same attack over and over. And honestly, I think I'm done with his videos, because the last few times he's had to deal with people, it's been like, okay, this Smith girl, I don't know who you think you are, but you logged into my world, and I'll block whoever the heck I want to, so you can just be blocked too. Goodbye. Adios. Denise hit her too. She gone. I just don't have time. Like, I'm not even going to enter into an issue. See? I'm not going to have an issue, so bye. It's that easy, and I don't know why grown men are taking to the internet to do this. I just don't understand. Freedom Convoy, I'm all for it. I am so behind these people. I've been posting stuff. I've been sharing stuff. I've been trying to keep people up on the news. I've been trying to point out people that are believing the falsehoods that are being said. I am so for this. I am like, people stand up, step up, sack up, take your nations back. It's time. So, post all the Freedom Convoy links you want here. You ain't gonna make me mad. Let them fly. Everybody's got videos need to be seen, post them, share them. And on any of my videos, if you've got something that needs to be seen, as long as it's positive, put it. I'll leave it. As long as it's positive, I'll leave it. Yeah, you're right. He's making that so that he can create a division within the fan base. And that's just a division within the demographic together of just like small conservative country folk. And we really need to stay together at this time. At this time in the world, we need to keep our little foundations together. We don't need to be clicking off into these little microchasms. Not at all. We need to be standing with each other and not trying to create these little divisions. It's stupid. We're just weakening ourselves when we try to do things like that. So that was another one of my irritations as well. Hang on, I've got to try to block somebody here. She's going into timeout. Okay. So I just was really irritated. I'm really irritated to see what people with extra time and extra money and extra funds and extra people's belief within them choose to do with all that energy. I would think it would be something much more positive, but apparently, who am I to think people can do positive things with energy? I get really irritated because I've seen a lot of growth in Ryan over the past year, year and a half, and he's growing by leaps and bounds. He's making much better decisions. He's changing overall the energy of his world, and you can see it benefit him in his relationships. And then you see people like this jump in and try to pull him into an issue where he doesn't belong. And it's like, dude, I've had so many people have belief in me and amp me up to write books and do this and do stand up. But at the end of the day, it's my decision. And whatever decision or contract I enter into, it's me that has to fulfill that to myself. It's no one else's responsibility. It's mine. So I just think this was a miss completely for HDC. I think it was a complete miss. I think he's going to understand that a lot of his fans are picking up on his repetitive behaviors and the way that he demeans people. It doesn't need to happen like that. He could have a beef and show like actual facts as to why he's having the beef and then go on, but he chooses to really degrade somebody to an extent that is just not healthy. And so I'm just like, I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of done with it. If I have to choose between the two, I'm going to stick with Ryan because Ryan has showed me the most change, growth, consideration for others. And he's looking at the world and trying, with a curious mind, trying to make sense of it. Where HDC just looks at the world and compares it to himself and then gets mad at it. And so I'm going to go with Ryan on this one because he has more of an open-ended question when it comes to how to handle what's going on in the world today. He's going to work with it. He's going to try new things. He's not going to become absolutely flustered and throw it on somebody else. So I'm going to have to say I'm going to stick with Ryan on this one. Am I happy about Boozy? No. No, and perhaps this is a good indication for Ryan. Maybe you need to do a little bit more background on the people that you choose to have in your music. But at the end of the day, it's not my decision either. And while I may have an opinion, he doesn't have to heed it. And it's just, and for me, it's just about growth. I'm glad you're sticking with Ryan too. It's just about growth. That's it. It's just about growth. Ryan, for me, handles changes and things. He might get frustrated. He may make one video out of 15 that I'm like, pump the brakes, kid, pump the brakes. But for the most part, he then calms down and goes, okay, but I can work with this. I can handle this. I'll find a way around this. And I like that much better than sitting back and going, but you need to fear me because my opinion is the best. Oh, I hate that laugh that man does. It drives me mad. So I just, grown men, stop asking people to box or get into an octagon. It's unbecoming. If you really want to touch somebody, go get consent. It just bothers me. It just bothers me. HDC, heavy duty country. I'm going to call him heavy duty crap from now on. That's just it. It just bothers me that it always has to come down to physicality. And it's just like, how old are you? Stop that crap. Stop that crap. Look at things a little bit more open-ended. Understand that you do not dictate the world. Understand that your problem is not the only problem in the world today. Understand that while you may have a plot, the things that you have been given, may exceed what most people do get, and you should be thankful for those things. And I don't know. I always see heavy-duty crap coming from a place of almost like he's angry, but he uses his anger to antagonize people, and then if they don't have the same perspective, then he just berates them and says really horrible things. And I've watched almost all his videos, and I've always been like, okay, well, that's a fact, that's whoa, you didn't need to say that, Bubba. And so I've always had mixed responses to his videos. And so for me, it just kind of tells me, I kind of know after this is not how an adult should handle things, and I'm not going to put any more energy there. Oh, of course he's going to edit. He's become the editing master. I mean, of course he's going to edit. But he only shows one side of himself. And what I would have to say is your notoriety right now is based on one plane of your existence in this world, and you should be very careful because I'm sure you have other sides to your personality, and I'm sure they're not all attractive. And if you're building your entire base on this one persona, this one side of your personality, as soon as somebody gets the goods on you, they're going to do far worse to you. So if I would have anything to say to him, I would be like, listen, be careful, because what you're doing can be done to you. And what you should do is just be yourself, show all of yourself, be honest with your subs, be honest with your audience, and make good content, but stop trying to be this like oppressive, arrogant, dogmatic cowboy, because it's not working. You can't be this big tough Marlboro man if you're gonna whine about somebody not helping you make an album. You know, it's just like, seriously, oh my freaking god. I like a lot. Hey, I like a metalhead. I'm not gonna lie. I look very, very docile and domesticated because I'm going crippled. I have a neuromuscular disorder from. I used to be a wilderness camp counselor, and I was attacked with an axe. Lots of damage, lots of surgeries. It created a neuromuscular disorder, and I'm losing my nerve impulses, and I'm going crippled. And so I worked for 10 more years as a parole officer, but as soon as I started limping, the Department of Corrections wanted rid of me. And I supervised murders and violent offenders, so I was always dealing the worst of the worst. And I could sit here and dredge up so much syrupy, sad crap to really pull y'all in and make you feel sorry for me. But you know something? Crap happens. I still had a good career. I'm still doing far better than my doctors expected me to. I'm still not completely wheelchair bound. That's why I'm always sitting down in videos, because I don't walk gracefully at all anymore. You don't need to be part of that. But I could pull you in so many other ways that would be lucrative to me. But I would rather sit here and just have an honest conversation. And so when I see people manipulate others, because I have a master's in psychology, so when I see people create a recipe for their videos where they easily can manipulate others, I pay attention, and that's very much what I'm seeing. But I still had hopes that he was just creating a brand, But if this is what it's going to be, I'm not there for it. I know. I was like, really? You had to burn that in stuff on it? Oh my god. It's like, I don't have enough extra time in the day to like plan something like that, let alone get dressed for it. So I'm like, that was a bit much. So I just, I get tickled about probably things that other people don't get tickled about, but I was just like, I'm going to call BS on this one. I'm just going to call BS on this one. Now, do I agree with everything Ryan does? No. And he knows when I don't agree because I tell everybody. So there's sometimes I get on here and I'm like, my opinion is pump the brakes, kid. Don't do that. Why did you do that? Think about this. And y'all know it. I'm mama hen the boy to death. But it's because I see so much within him. Just, he has so much energy, positivity. I mean, he's just got so much. There's so much music and creativity within him, and I'm just like, I want that to come out. So I'm gonna sit back here. But when he gets like fixated on the wrong things, I'm like, hello. And so I'm momming him to death, and he absolutely doesn't have to listen to me. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't, and I'm fine with that because it's just my opinion. But I see so much creativity within him. And yeah, he has beefs. And sometimes I'm like, oh, frig. Why did you do that? But he normally comes back around and is like, okay, well, I took that way too hard. And, I'm going to have to re-examine this. And he calms back down and goes on. And that is happening less and less. And those little moments are happening less and less as he gets older and he matures. He's growing up so quickly now. Like, he has matured so much in the last year and a half. This album really kind of made him come into manhood for me, because I kind of like, he reminds me of my son so much. So I see him very much as, that's why I call him leave the boy alone. That's why I call him a boy and stuff, because I very much have a very motherly vibe toward this young man, and I want to see him succeed and do well because he reminds me of my own creative son. And so I'm really impressed with he's handling this level of success. The hate. I mean, we get one troll in our comment section and lose our shit. The boy gets thousands of hate messages daily, I'm sure. And he processes and handles all that. We don't hear about the majority of them. Yeah, he likes to make fun of some of them. I'm sure that's, very cathartic for him in many ways. And it's kind of stays true to who he was and how he got onto the internet. So I don't mind that at all. It's very consistent for me. That's consistency from him. And then if something does happen, he tries to make it right. So, I have a lot of respect for the boy. Doesn't mean that I'm like approve of everything. No, never going to approve of everything anybody does. And as a fan, I will voice my opinion, but I don't expect him to like comply. And I think heavy duty crap thinks that everybody should be in compliance with how he thinks things should go. And the more and more I watch the videos, the more I'm like, ooh, getting a little hard nosed there. Ooh, getting a little self assured, getting a little cocky, and after this one, I'm just like, that was not necessary. Because just simply because if in today's political vibe, I would not do something to divide the country folk regardless. Even if I had a valid beef, I'd be like, it's not worth trying to divide this group and get them stuck over here handling this, which is stupid, when we need to be focused on our nation and what's going on in our world. So for me, it's just like that was such a non-issue. I'm going to complain. I'm going to complain about rubbing elbows and getting a music deal. And I'm going to complain about the money that I had to put into my own career. And then the fact that I couldn't make it happen. But I'm going to blame it on you. And then I'm going to make everybody come here and feel sorry for me. And it's just like, dude, powder your butt and go on. Get over yourself. Rub some dirt on it and move on. You had an opportunity. It didn't pan out. Tough cookies. It's like, and expecting like the normal person who is struggling just to put food on the table right now to feel sorry that you had $4,000 extra laying around to throw at a music deal, just perhaps it may work out. He's not thinking of his viewers and how they're viewing this and what they're going through. And so he's just completely detached. And as much money as Ryan has, he knows what it is to be poor. And he remembers, and he doesn't mind reminding you, he knows what it is to be poor. So I just found all of that, it just kind of really felt detached and almost disassociative and just careless, especially for what a lot of us are going through right now. Daniel's in here, he's going to correct mischief. I just think if I could tell Creeks what anything, it's like, don't be baited into it. Because he wants the views, he wants the clicks, he wants the money, he wants the notoriety, he wants the fame. That's why he's doing this. Don't give it to him. Don't give him the views, don't give him the clicks, don't. Just don't do it. And don't engage with him. Don't have a beef with somebody. Don't pick up the negative energy and don't run with it. Just don't engage. He's very good at negative energy. Just don't engage. Just walk away and let him have his pout in the corner, and then he'll get up and go on to something else. As soon as some woman tells him he's pretty and he looks pretty on his horse, he'll be fine and he'll pick up and go on with his little bruised ego, and he'll be okay in a day or two. Just don't create an internet fight. Don't go and say nasty words. Don't go and spit anything nasty. Just go, poor you, and go on. It's just not necessary. This is not needed. We don't need this. This is not where energy should be going at this time. Not in our world right now. Not at all. And it's poorly placed and poorly timed, and something that should be a non-issue, honestly. And so I just thought it was tacky at best. And I certainly probably would not get on here and announce that 7-8 months ago I thought I could make a music record. Now I can't unless he helps. And if he doesn't help, I want him to pay the bill because I need help. I would just be like, I'm sorry, it's not going to work out. I made a bad decision, and I'm going to stay in my lane. It's all he needs to say. No audience, no tantrum. Annette's spewing some wisdom. Every time Church drops an album, people come out of the woodwork. And it's just like, oh, the cockroaches are coming to the light. It's just like, oh, I'm so tired of this. And I would like to think that after all we've seen in our world and our politics, people would understand that where you put your energy is very, very important. Let's all do something positive with our freaking energy. Stop. Let's stop allowing people that use this platform for negativity. Let's stop letting them win. Let's stop. Let's really band together and say, no, I'm sorry, the next 72 hours is going to be nothing but freaking petunias, pansies, and positivity, and just not enter into anything negative. Because I'm just done with it. And in my video, you can tell I'm done with it. I'm so irritated. I'm just, something, be an adult. Be a grown-ass man. Act like it. You made a bad decision. It didn't pan out. Sucks to be you. Life moves on. I mean, if we're going to count bad decisions in my life, I've lost count at this point. I mean, it's just part of life. And if you were that sore about somebody having belief in you and making you believe in yourself enough to drop money on it, who the heck are you? I mean, you're mad that somebody made you believe in yourself? People pay thousands in therapy for that shit. Oh, Daniel, just don't pick up the megaphone and make it personal, Daniel. So we just need to, PPP. We need to really be positive, and we need to really, I mean, he has a platform for his political views and his political opinions and his videos. He has a platform, and he has, I think some of what he says is needed. I would just like for us to maybe let him know that stick with what you're good at, son, and this is not what you're good at. These beefs and drama, it's not what draws people in. Not at all. It turns us off. It really makes us go, if you're that easily hurt, I don't want to be anywhere near you. Because I don't like people that lash out like that. I don't like people that get mad at themselves and next thing you know they're mad at 50 other people and you don't know if it's going to be. That's abusive. I don't like people like that. I don't like wondering where I stand all the time with people. I like to know. And I certainly wouldn't want to turn on the internet and find out that somebody that I had invited in, paid for the trip, tried to befriend, rubbed elbows with, tried to give him opportunities, made him believe himself, showed him he could do this, and thought he was taking a chance on himself and being like, yeah, man, take a chance on yourself. If I can help you, I will. I'm not part of the contract. If I can, I will. I would hate to think that somebody I had spent that much energy on would then use this platform to turn on me and to take things apart. And as far as the boozy thing and the pedophile, men say stupid things, and like his last video was proof of that. Men say stupid things. Not all of them belong on the internet. 99% of it doesn't belong on the internet. But not everything that people say is true and valid. A lot of it is bravado and lies and arrogance, and people in that world that just have to put on that persona and make it. And it's just, if he thinks what happened there is true, then he needs to be calling whatever state or whatever county and trying to report it. But if he only thinks it enough to think it needs to serve him on a video, then do you really think he's a pedophile? Do you really think it's something you're concerned about? Is it really something you think you need to help those kids out? You need to maybe have somebody look into it? Or was it just useful information for you? Because that tells me where the motivation lies. And so, don't sit on here and try to say like you're watching out for the kids when you're just using it to benefit you. If you did nothing to try to step in and see if that was valid information, if somebody needs to be protected, So it's just stupid. Yeah, Ryan's getting up there. He's getting to the point where he's getting famous enough to where those thousands of hate messages daily are probably going to turn into hundreds of thousands. And that's why he has to have such security. Like, you made fun of his security. Okay, well, when you get to where you have to have security, well, okay, I'm going to remember to make fun of you. That's stupid. Why would you make fun of someone for protecting their livelihood and their family? Isn't that what he's all about every time he's shooting his guns? It's just like, this is so counterintuitive and counterproductive. And it's like, every point he tries to dig out at Ryan, he might as well look in the mirror and say to himself, because he's been part of it as well. And so it just frustrates me that, okay, if you say you're a good old boy and that you're looking out for our nation and you're looking out for the people, then stop. Stop trying to hurt us like cattle or them stupid earless goats and rush us to whatever target you want to rush us at. How about you fill out your viewers and you do stuff for them. You don't try to manipulate them emotionally or piss them off or use them as trolls against someone else. Or it's just so unbecoming especially if someone whose platform was growing so quickly and he was doing so well. But I never see him on a lot of other shows, and maybe this is why. Maybe he does not have a demeanor that meshes well with others, because I just don't think he does. I see a lot of antisocial behaviors and a lot of arrogance and a lot of condescending, demeaning, you know, portrayal in his body language, and I'm like, I might talk to you out and about, but he would not be someone I would befriend. I just don't think I would want to have to wonder what state of mind he's in and who's he's mad at and what game we're playing today, because he's very, that's one of the red flags that I've been following, is that inconsistency in his videos. He's either everybody's best friend or he's tearing somebody a new asshole. And I'm just like, I need some stops in between, thank you very much. You have to ease me into those. So that concerns me. And so, if anything, I would want for him to check himself, have a talk with yourself and say, is this really productive? Is this really what I wanted to create? Is this what I want people to remember me for? Is this a problem that I require assistance with? Is this something that should have been everybody's business? No, probably not. Would it have been better to have just stayed in my lane, done what was making me famous, done what was bringing me notoriety, kept linked to my viewers, giving them what they want, instead of making this a personal platform, instead of a public platform where I am a public figure and I talk about public issues. Now he's creating a personal platform where he's discussing personal issues. And I just don't think that's a wise decision. I don't think it's going to pay off. I don't think it's going to go well with his audience. Well, and Creek Squad they're trolling motherfuckers. I mean, they are. And that's one thing that I have really tried to come in and be like, listen, it's not necessary. Just because somebody else has a beef, you don't have to have a beef. Just because you're angry doesn't mean you have to put it in word form 5,000 times on somebody's page. We do need to sit back and have a much more calm demeanor and response. We need to think things through. We are getting of an age now where we should be able to say, something, or a boy is getting to be a pretty good celebrity. We're going into a much more responsible time in his life. We probably need to stop acting a fool in the comment section. Just a little bit. So, yeah, I think that's something that Creek Squad definitely needs to work on. And that's kind of what got me here, was when he was having all those issues a couple of years ago and people were not being helpful. I was like, voice of reason? This is why we're struggling. Let's not do this anymore, and we won't struggle anymore. Let's focus on this and not put our energy there. And that's kind of how I popped onto the scene. And that's how I was able to be able to talk to Ryan a little bit, get to know each other, throw down a little bit of information for him to digest. And some of it helped, and I'm sure some of it didn't, because, not everything, is impactful to everybody else. They have to kind of take what they need and throw out what they don't need. But I think it benefited him to have another perspective. And I think that's what Creek Squad needs sometimes, is just, because Ryan is like 99 miles an hour. We need somebody that's going about 15 to go, hang on, think about that. And that's kind of where I come in. And yes, I'm the old motherly figure, but that's okay. I will wear it with pride, because I hope that I am helping Creek Squad grow to where we can appreciate where Ryan's going to end up. Because I have every idea he's going to be huge. So that's what I'm really trying to do, is like, hey, Creek Squad, let's chill. We're great. We're a family. We're strong. We got each other's back, and we're there for each other in a pinch. There's so much greatness in Creek Squad. But there's some things we need to work on, too. And we need to not be such loudmouth brats sometimes, because we all know we are. Me included, I can be a turd as well. But we do tend to troll way too hard and take it way too personal. And that's something we're going to have to grow up with. We're going to have to drop a little bit of the childishness. So I want you to know I do have a video uploading. I have sorry internet, and I live in BFE, so it's going to take a little bit, but I did do a response to this. I hope that both parties listen, and make decisions about interacting with people of that caliber again. There's obviously something here that did not mesh well in their little relationship, be it friendship or work relationship, whatever they thought it was going to be. But there's no need it needs to turn into anything huge. But I have to say, I am very, very, very upset that someone that I thought was trying to generate a positive momentum within a conservative lifestyle and the country bumpkin people. I hate that he stood up to be divisive today and to create an issue and to bring animosity to our group. And it's just like not needed. Not needed. You should have thought that one through, and I don't think it's going to end well for you. Daniel, I have to admit, I really enjoy your trolling. Like, that's how you kind of popped into my world, too. But I sometimes I really enjoy the trolls. And I like to kind of banter back and forth with them. And sometimes I really don't. And in about 2.5 minutes, you probably know where you're going to fall on that. And you'll either be gone or I'll be laughing with you. And you're one that I laugh with. And I enjoy you. You have become part of my family. So you're here to stay. But you know what I'm saying when I say it's time to kind of grow up a little bit and back off some of the harshness. Because some of it gets way too personal and could put people into positions they don't want to be in and don't need to be in. So yeah, there's a lot of growing up to do on everybody's behalf. Even I have stuff I need to grow up about. I'm 43 and I feel more like I'm 63 because of my health, but even I have things I need to work on. But I try to be well-rounded and to kind of bring thoughts. Like, I'm basically responding to his video with questions and concerns and how other people would view that, and did he see it that way, and did he understand this. And so I want him to understand that he got locked in this very arrogant, angry way of looking at whatever occurred between him and Ryan. Perhaps he needs to look at it a different way, because there was a lot of positives that happened that a lot of people would have killed for, and he needs to be happy about that. So that's what's going on. I just wanted to pop on. I am alive. I've had a headache all day, but my neighbor decided right at dusk to start sawing down a tree and chipping it. He put it in the chipper shredder, and I'm like, I'm just going to get up and do this video real quick. So it is loading. It will take it a while, but it will be there. Please watch. Please respond. Respond appropriately. Let's not be a turd. But I think within the country conservative group of people, I think we really need to learn how to bond and stay a unit, especially in this time in the world. I think we need to focus on what we have that's similar rather than focus on what we have that drives us apart. And we need to work at staying a family and supporting each other, because the world's falling apart, people. Don't pitch people off the boat. They may be your saving grace here in a month or two. So anything that's divisive, I say right now, is not necessary, not needed. Try to see things with a curious nature, with a questioning nature. Yes, you can have an opinion. Yes, you can have a harsh opinion, but try not to make it personal. And if you throw something out on the web that's personal and very demeaning towards, expect repercussions. And I just think that this was not necessary, and that this man is old enough to know better, and that he had so much going positive for him that he didn't need to create a negative for everyone else. And I'm just irritated. Annette, I'm finally... Oh, and get this. This is going to tickle y'all to death. So after my husband went through 2 tests, 7 days off of work, it took us, and they did the rapid test. It came up negative on him. Then the doctor wanted to repeat it, so his work said, well, if you've got an open test, you can't come back through our doors until we have the results. So he couldn't go back to work. Nobody would tell us. We couldn't get through the doctor's office. We couldn't get him to call back and tell us what the results were. It took us 6 days to get the results of his test that the doctor's office did. Nobody called and told us nothing. We had to beg them to fax it to the work so that he could go back to work. And then I got sick. Y'all know how sick. It was like a bad creep cold. It reminded me of a creep cold that I had when I was a kid. And it was just like snot everywhere, and it all stayed in my head, though, so it didn't go to my chest. And so I just stayed home because my husband was home, and we just decided to we didn't know what it was. We couldn't get the answers back to the doctor, just quarantine and stay home. So I go in for my checkup, and my doctor's like, how you doing? I'm like, I can't smell a thing. Like, I can taste a little bit, but like my husband went to check his snares the other day, had a skunk in one, it sprayed. He came home, and I couldn't smell. And he was like, you don't smell like coveralls? I hung them on the back porch to air out, and they stink. And I was like, I can't smell a dad burn thing. Well, then the doctor's like, well, I really think you all had COVID. And he's like, you had COVID. I just want you to know you had COVID. We were all up in a tizzy about it now, but for 7 days, nobody cared if we knew what it was. Nobody cared if we had answers back, if we had our test back. Nothing. So why are we all animated now that you think it was COVID? And we're over it. What is there to be animated about now? And he's like, well, do you want to come in and test? No. I'm over it. What's the point? I don't want to pay $100 for a test to tell me I may or may not have had something that I don't really care. It's over now anyway. You don't want to know? No, I've always said it's not an if, it's a when. I'm going to have it. So I got it, and I whipped her. You know, it wasn't anything too bad. My husband actually had more of a chest congestion with it. But it was just like the old croup colds I had as a kid. So I just treated it like a croup cold, like my grandma would have. We were fine. But they made this big tizzy. Now they want to do blood work and they want to go for antibodies. And I'm like, no, it was a croup cold. We're done. Why were you not this fixated at the front end of it so that you could have helped us with some of this, symptomology and treated us symptomatically rather than just drop us like a hot rock and us not know what in the heck's going on. But now that you know that we had it, come in and let's do all these tests and let's get all this money off of you. I ain't the cash cow. And my doctor got kind of irritated with me. And I said it was a cold. It was a respiratory virus. I whipped it like I whipped every other respiratory virus I've had in my 43 years of existence on this planet. And when I don't whip it, guess what? I will go home to meet the Lord. And it won't be nobody's business but mine and Jesus. You do not need to test me for 5,000 things. And so he kind of got irritated because I wouldn't go in and let them get all that COVID cash that they can get. And I was like, sorry, no. I'm over it, and I'm not going to wait out in public right now. I just got over it. I'm not going to go and put myself in the middle of people. And so they got kind of irritated with me, and I was like, imagine my irritation with you when we were waiting for 7 days to know if my husband could go back to work because we were broke. And I'm like, I can't turn in tests and get $39,000, $17,000, $8,500 like y'all can. I said, we're just, low man on the totem pole. We've got to go to work. I said, nobody cared then. I said, I don't care about what you're missing out on now. And he was kind of like, well, I guess that's one way to say it. I said, I guess it is. And so I didn't go in for any of the testing. And I said, when I feel like coming in for blood work, if you want to pay for it and do an antibody test to see if I had it, if you're that concerned, you can do it. I don't care. And he's just like, you don't care. You don't want to know. And I'm like, I know all I needed to know. I had a bug and I beat it. I don't need to know what man named it. I had it. I dealt with it. I beat it. That's all we needed to know. So I was appalled at how the medical community treated this. And after the fact, oh, you've had COVID. That's definitely only COVID will take away your sense of taste and smell. And I'm like, I was okay with it because he snared a skunk and I couldn't smell it. So excellent timing, Jesus. Thank you. Literally, I had to wash with blue Dawn peroxide and borax to get the smell out of his stuff. Thank God I couldn't smell it. I thought it worked out phenomenally. Was it nasty? It was a nasty croup cold, like every other nasty croup cold I've had. I was tired, I was exhausted, I couldn't breathe through my nostrils, and I was pissed at the world. It was like every other croup cold I've ever had. And I didn't think it, at the time, didn't think it was COVID, so I wasn't terrified about it, so I just treated it like a croup cold. Guess what? You treat it like a croup cold, it goes away. Imagine. Gee, simplicity. So I think we're all noticing that as the world kind of falls away from the mandates, we're kind of seeing that it probably was financially driven and was a financial motivator. Yes, there's something out there. Yes, you can catch it. Should you be terrified of it? No. Just treat it like you would anything else, symptomatically. Deal with it a day at a time and don't overtax yourself. And just take care of yourself. Are there people that it's going to overwhelm their bodies? Yes. Sadly, there are people that have issues that it will. And even the flu or a common cold would also, it wouldn't have to be like a croup cold or COVID. Anything can overwhelm a body at any time. We have to stop, get away from this fear. And I think as we're seeing mandates drop like flies around the world, we're all seeing that, yeah, we all kind of got finagled. And I don't know if you've been there yet, but if you go to grand-jury.net, there is an international convening of attorneys, doctors, specialists, epidemiologists, virologists that are going over all the proof from all the countries that this was a planned, perpetrated, and released pandemic for the world government benefit, basically. And they're actually having those hearings now. And if you can go to grand-jury.net, you can listen to all of them. I think the first hour and a half is already loaded. You can click on the link to listen in English. I've got hiccups. And you can listen to all the information, the factual evidence that they have and that they're bringing forward. And basically, this is basically Nuremberg 2.0. So after they deal with all of this, I think we may see some countries have to back up and apologize and step down, because the truth is going to be so overwhelming that this was, while it may have been just a virus, it was absolutely played to potentiate whatever the powerful wanted and to harm the little man. And absolutely the restriction of medications, certain medications that were only allowed, and the forced dialogue and the forced miscommunication and basically the fact checking, all of that was detrimental to what they now know was there was truth in everything that was being said, and people were not allowed the truth, and great medicines were written off, were revoked from use, and hospitals elicited a medication that was not FDA approved that has like a 60-40 track record of killing people in tests. And there are a lot of questions going on. So I would say go watch that, go listen to that, go listen to the information, the factual information. They bring the receipts. Listen to these specialists and these attorneys come forward and talk about what they have put together and why they think this is something that needs to have a Nuremberg trial. Oh, I definitely think Ron needs to pick his people on his albums more carefully. Now that we have a deep dive on Boozy, I absolutely think this is going to be something that Ryan is going to say, okay, I'm going to have to do a better background on people, especially with the concerns that we're looking at now as a society, and they're so different because our eyes have been opened in so many ways. I definitely think he's going to have to be more careful about who he works with. At the same time, I still want him to try to bring in people that I would not expect, but I want him to background them a little bit better. I agree with that completely. Yeah, I'm not going to fuss about that at all, because I agree completely with that. But I still want to be surprised. I still want to be surprised about who he brings in, and I kind of want it to blow my mind a little bit and be something I don't expect, but I also want him to do his due diligence and make sure that that's someone that is not completely questionable in their practices. So, that's one thing that I would like to see improved a little bit. But at the same time, if we were to all, do deep dives on everybody we've trusted in the past, you're going to find something on almost anybody that you could bring up as questionable. More so if they're famous. So, at the same time, I have to go, famous people are stupid and say stupid crap. But I wish that this had been less of a mean girl tag, and that they had handled this better. Like, I wish that he had gone with better energy to Ryan to resolve this, rather than demanding he drop everything and help me. Like, I'm just going to call. I haven't talked to him in months, but I'm going to say, hey, these dates work for you. No, you won't talk to me. You're not going to help me. It's just like, dude, you're an adult. Why did you think, somebody that helped you in so many ways, why do you now think they still need to kowtow and bend over for you? Just take advantage of what you were given and make it work. Don't blame it on somebody else. Just make it work. If you're so talented and such a strong man, and make it work. Don't come on here crying like a little bitch. You need to help me. I would be ashamed. I would be ashamed. My God. I just thought that was just such a pansy way of behaving. My God. Of course, I supervise murderers and violent offenders, so I've been around gruff people. I just found that such a sign of weakness. Like, if he was a general population, there'd have been about 15 people looked at him and been like, that's my girlfriend. Because that behavior it really shows weakness. It just really shows weakness. And that just, maybe I just see that from the careers I've had and from how I've had to profile people. But that just blew my mind. Because he does not want to come across as a weak individual, but everything he did in that video shows me that he's very weak, very insecure. very stuck on himself, very much has to control the way that he thinks other people see him. But what he doesn't understand is having that little tantrum completely obliterated the facade he had created over the last few years. Because now, you're going to sit down and cry about it if everybody don't do anything you want to do. Yeah, and it's just like, that's not who you said you were for the last few years. We thought you were this heavy country man, and now you're going to cry because somebody's not going to help you. And because you entered into an adult contract, you made a bad adult decision, but you want someone else to be accountable. That doesn't sound like the person that we've been watching the last couple of years holding everybody else accountable. Go for the goose is good for the gander. So, and this may be something, talking about the troubles and the issues and the combative nature of people. Like my last video where I said it really saddens me to see him say he has to be sketchy of everyone, but he has to. Because everyone has a motive for coming after him. Can you imagine being in his shoes? I have other friends that are famous. Famous. We use that word, it's kind of a dirty word, famous, because all it means is that you basically have a bigger target on your butt. And I've seen them struggle, and I've seen them be berated. I've seen, like, for a lot of you that don't know, I am very good friends with Peter Freestone, who I call Phoebe. This is my Phoebe bird. We're very good friends. And he's actually having back surgery in a couple of days, so toss up good vibes to Phoebe for his back surgery. But he was Freddie Mercury's personal assistant for the last 12 years of Freddie's life and took care of him until he passed. And a lot of people do not like that man because he has gone on to do AIDS education and stuff in third world countries and do education programs and speaking engagements. And they're like, well, he's just milked his life completely. He has kept going something very important that Freddie found very important the last few years of his life because it affected him, in such a traumatic way. And he has honored Freddie's memory, and a lot of people view that as he's just sucked the life out of it, but he's not. He still is a very simple man. He has just tried to educate people because there was so much misinformation and so many people left in the dark about this disease, especially when he was a world traveler and he got to see different countries and how they educated and informed the public differently. So he created this program, and it's called the Titanic Freddie AIDS program, and he goes around and he speaks. And so the last couple of years he's not been able to do that as much, and he's been kind of miserable because that's what he loves to do. Such a great guy. He receives so much hate. There's not a mean bone in that man's body, and he receives so much hate. And I talk to him some days, and I just hear it in his voice because I've seen kind of what people have been doing and saying about him and stuff, and it breaks my heart because he's got a 30-year track record of showing he has consistently cared about this topic and the subject matter, and he's taken it upon himself to do this for very little money, to do this and educate the world about this, and people still throw such shade at him, and it's out of jealousy and it's out of anger and misplaced energy, and I've seen him have days to where people have just ruined his existence when he just wanted to have a nice day, and people have ruined his existence. Or we've been at engagements together, and I've sat and watched him have to interact, and people will just walk up, put their hands all over him and hug him and act like they're his best friend and act like they've known him forever. And what happened was, the first time we met, he had locked himself out of his hotel room, and I knew exactly who he was, and I was trying to sign into the hotel, and I was like, aren't you a word traveler? Aren't you supposed to know how to not do that by now? And he looked at me and he goes, yeah, you'd think I would. And I was like, oh, well, I'd imagine the more hotel rooms you see, the more opportunities to lock yourself out. And he's like, well, yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And he was like, the event doesn't start till 3, but would you like to sit down and talk? And I could tell that he was just overwhelmingly trying to engage with me, and that's just how he's just so kind. And I was like, no, it doesn't start for an hour and a half. You go upstairs and rest. You just traveled 27 hours to be here. You go rest. I'll catch you later. And he's like, thank you. And I'm like, no problem. And I was like, he looked at me like I was the best thing since sliced bread. And I was like, that's okay, go rest. I didn't have a right to his time at that time. He was not on the clock. He was there for an engagement. The engagement was not active. But he would have given his time because people routinely have expected it. And so he kept bumping into me through the event and be like, thank you again for that time to rest. And I'm like, no, it's your time, no problem. Nice to meet you. Can I have a picture later? Yeah, thank you. You know, and he pulled me to his table that night for dinner, and he's like, you're going to eat beside me tonight. And I was like, ooh, I'm highfalutin, you know. And I was just having a good time with it. You know, I meet lots of different people, and I treat them all the same. And I was sitting there, and all the other women that had paid for their seats, they were talking about all the other, like the Queen Band. They were talking about all the Queen Band members and what their kids were doing. And like, I'm a super fan, but I don't know any of the children because I don't think I should know any of their children, even if they're grown now. But I don't think that's my business. And so it came to me, and I was like stopped mid fork, and I was like, I'm a super fan. I know all the songs and I know all the lyrics, but I don't know their kids because I'm a fan of the band, and I don't think that children are part of the band and should not be on public display. I don't know who their kids are. And then I just kept eating. And he looked at me and grinned. And I was like, okay, I just can't be in this conversation. And so he finally, on the Sunday, the ending of the thing, he was like, you were so kind. And I was like, well, I wouldn't want people knowing my kids' business, even if they're grown. You know, and he was like, I sent you a Facebook friend request, but don't tell anybody. I don't always friend everybody. And I was like, okay, thanks. And I was like, he's lying. He's just being nice. No, he did. And we've got to know each other, and we've seen each other every year until COVID hit. And we've missed each other horribly. I make him quilts and send him quilts, and we call. And when I'm sick, he calls me at 9 a.m. because of the time difference and talks to me and makes sure I'm okay. If I'm in the hospital, he will video chat so that the nurses wig the crap out, which cracks me up. But I have a really good friend in him, and I've seen the way people have affected his world. And I'm like, that's nasty, hateful, unnecessary. Why do they think they can treat you like that? And it's because he's a public figure. And yes, he has to give a little bit of leniency because being a public figure brings a lot of that on. But no one should ever be treated like they're owned because you bought a $12, $15 CD. Okay, EMZ, I don't think Ron demanded an apology. I think by the word and the flow of the conversation, I think what happened was Dan called and was very crass and probably a little cussing him. And Upchurch basically was like, we're not going to continue this conversation in this manner. And, if you want to apologize, it's fine, but until I'm done. And which I think is probably the best way to have handled that if it was a very negative conversation. I think that's probably the best way to have handled that is listen, if you want to call and we can talk constructively, that's great, but if you're going to call and cuss me out, no. So if you want to apologize for how you attack that and then attack it appropriately, I'm here, but if not, sorry. So I definitely probably would have handled that the same way. I've probably been like, nope, we're not gonna talk this way. You're not gonna think you can call in and discuss things with me like this. And if this is how you're gonna handle it, we're not gonna handle it. If you rethink it, if you want to apologize and try again, I'm here, but don't call me again if you're gonna act like that. I would have said the same thing. Matter of fact, I have said the same thing to many people. You have to have boundaries. You have to have boundaries. And no matter what expectation Dan thought was there for whatever help he was going to get, he signed a contract with someone for the actual music deal. I don't think Ryan was probably anywhere on the contract as required, necessary, or purchased aid. So he had a different expectation of what help meant. He thought Ryan was going to drop everything, fly out, and basically produce the album, is what it sounds like from his video. And I think he had some unhealthy expectations and some hefty expectations that were not appropriate. And it went south from there. Daniel, I'm sorry I was talking, was not reading, but it says that you were basically misused by older women, and as much as people don't want to talk about the topic, yes, women can be very much the perpetrator of horrible things. I've seen it in my line of work. I've supervised many women that had to have an ankle monitor and were a sex offender, so Women can be just as inappropriate as men. So, and so I think that both guys have a lot of growing to do. Obviously, they're still very young, but as far as Ryan saying, I'm not going to have a nasty conversation. If you want to apologize, try again, it's fine. But you do whatever you feel you got to do and just let it go. That's probably the best way of handling this. Getting on the internet and creating a thing. Basically, Dan's entire claim here is, well, he talked me into this big music deal and then I signed with somebody else. And I'm sorry, if I'm going to put my name on a contract somewhere and I'm going to pay for it, that's going to be my decision. And I'm going to be dang sure that I'm going to be able to, go through with that. He entered into a contract, an adult contract, that now he's having trouble thinking he can fulfill without the aid of someone else. Someone else that was not probably on the contract paid for. He just expected the aid. Things happen. Adults have their own worlds. They're responsible to other people. We cannot expect people to drop and come and make us succeed in life. We have to make that happen on our own. And if he had that much help from Upchurch and Upchurch believed in that much that he believed in himself and went and signed a contract, then he should be able to make this happen, with or without anyone else's help. If he wanted that contract, he should be able to make it happen. He should not pawn it off and say, I was talked into it. I'm here to tell you, you can say that in any court of law, and the judge is going to say, are you an adult? Did you make that decision? Did you sign the dotted line? Then what's your problem? It's just going to go that way in court. Been in court thousands and thousands of court sessions. Dusty, yeah. Too busy doing your job, yeah. Be fruitful. Well, Michael, if he demanded an apology, but if he didn't think he was going to get one, or if he made a decision it didn't matter, he wasn't going to enter into that conversation, then he can block him and go on his merry way. I just think I don't think Dan thought through how this is going to look on him. Because how many of us, if we had flown to Tennessee, got to hobnob all weekend with Upchurch, and had talked to him, and he had, like he's done for so many other people, exhibited the thing that if you want to do this, it can be done. If you've got talent, you can make this happen, dude. This lifestyle is, anybody can create this if they want to work at it. I would have loved to have been in that energy for somebody to believe in me that much for a weekend, to really make me excited about pursuing something new. If he got back to Texas and signed that contract when, he should have thought it through more, that's an adult decision that he should have thought through more. He made a bad adult decision. And now he's dealing with the repercussions. It's no one's fault but his own. Because the positivity that Ryan showed him and gave him, and the energy and vibe that he kind of found in Ryan, yeah, it's intoxicating, but as an adult, you don't make decisions in the heat of the moment. Not when you're hyped up and amped up with someone that's made it. You think about these things. That's a lot of work. I mean, Ryan works his butt off. He's very rarely sitting still. So I would have been like, I need to think about this for a while. Let's just pause, hold that, let me think about it for a while. And I would have gone back to my world and been like, is this something I can do? Is this something I can complete? Is this something I want to pursue? Is this where I want to put all of my energy? Because yeah, he might have said he wanted to help, but it's my music deal. It's my money. It's my contract. It's on me. So whether someone wanted to help me or not, I know that at the end of the day, it's me that I have to rely on. So why would I then get on the internet and completely say that I'm this hard-nosed man of a man that can do anything, but you didn't help me with my music contract because you owe me. I mean, like, seriously, you have this huge opportunity. If you can't do it, just don't do it. You made a bad decision. It's okay. Stay in your lane, stay with your political videos, and just say, okay, I now know no matter how much I want to believe I can do this, I can't. I face the fact and I can't do it. It's not anybody else's fault. If that was the fact, we would be suing advertisers on the TV every goddamn day for making us want to buy products. You can't go through life pawning off your decisions on other people. And that seems to be a consistent theme with the younger people I meet. Is if it doesn't go right, blame it on someone else, point and belittle, make everybody else point and belittle, and then sneak away while nobody's looking at me. And it's just like, just own it. Just say, I got in the heat of the moment, made a stupid decision, I can't make it happen, so not gonna happen. It's okay. You didn't have to be that mad about it. You didn't have to say, call and leave him voicemails and go, why aren't you answering my phone? He's working. He has a huge responsibility to everything that he's done. He's got so many irons in the fire. The boy is so goddamn busy. And his team that handles and he that handles, it probably hadn't been on his mind. Because very much with Ryan, you can tell he's talked about ADHD several times. Out of sight, out of mind, I'm here to tell you. But now if you're inside, fixation and focus. But if you're not there, blip, off the radar you go. You have to understand these things. I would like I've talked to him. I have video chatted with him. And then been like, have to go on here and be like, yo, check your messages. You missed me. To like give him important information. Because I don't expect him to remember me. I pop up and I look like all the 550,000 people that have messaged him that day. And I understand. So if it's something very important that I need to share with him, I go online and I'm like, yo, and I tag him. And he'll either pop into my live and I'll tell him what's up, or he'll message me. It's just like, I understand. He's busy. He is responsible for so many people's livelihoods. And he has to keep the ball rolling. And he doesn't have time to worry about a whole lot of other people. But thank God he is kind enough to see people and go, if you have this passion, you can do this too. I believe in you. And we're mad at him for that? Are you kidding me? You know, a lot of people need their binky and their pacifier through life because, you know, they certainly have not grown up to realize that, you know, shit happens. You got to deal with it as an adult. Yeah, Annette, if you have the contract as an adult, be an adult. Do your best or don't do it all. Make your decision. But it's your decision because you're an adult. Don't say somebody forced you into that or made you believe. You know, that's just, no. No. Denise, you bring up a very good point. You would never pay if they thought your talent was that good. I had the same thought. I wasn't going to be that mean. But even like a lot of girls want to go into modeling contracts and then they go in and they have to pay like several $1,000s for a photo shoot and to get an agent. And I'm like, if you're really going to be a model, most of the time they find you and you just boom, you're a model. You know, very, very few models work at it. You know, most of them are just discovered because they have agents that are actively looking for them. So I had a very similar thought, but I wouldn't want to be that mean. But you go, girl, you be that mean. Hibley, I don't think Ryan tricked anybody. I think Ryan honestly believes when people get excited about the music industry, I honestly think he thinks because he made it, anybody can make it. I think he looks at the world from his energy perspective and he sees it's completely doable. Now, if I was to look at it, I'd be like, that is not feasible. It is not going to happen. But we are stuck in our own look at it. You know, we have to look through our own eyes. And so we all see it differently. If they bought into Ryan, jazzing them up and believing in them, it's still their decision. I mean, I still think it's great that Ryan tells people you can do this. If you put the energy there, you can do it. You can make it happen because he did it. He made it happen. He knows it can happen. But some people can't meet the expectation of the energy requirement to do it. I would not be one that could. I couldn't do this. So I understand for people that get away from the endorphin rush and go, oh, no, I can't do that. But then I would be like, made a bad decision. It's not going to happen. Yep. You know, it's like I said, Jenny Craig has a lot of money for the same reason, but you don't see me on here going, Jenny, I want my money back. I'm still fat. It was because when I got away from the meetings, I was like, I'm sorry, I just can't do this shit. It was on me. It was all me. So, you know, and it's hard to admit that sometimes, and I'm sure it's hard for him to see an opportunity like that, you know, not be able to come to fruition, but there's no reason to go on and be a jackass about it. And do they both have things they need to work on? Yeah. Ryan, background you people better. Stop making new and immediate friends. Spend time with people you know. If you want to bring somebody into your circle, have somebody deep dive on them to make sure they're not crazy. If you want to bring somebody on your albums, it may be a positive thing to look a little bit more into what they're doing, especially with the information we got on Boozy. Yeah, I see a lot of improvements that can be made everywhere. The biggest improvement I can say is that own your behavior, own your mistakes, own your decision-making skills, even when they screw up and you know you shouldn't have made that decision, own it. Don't go online and make it somebody else's business. Own it. And I just I just think the way that Heavy Duty handled this was just a little inappropriate. Yeah, you're right, Nick. He didn't trick anybody. He had belief, and his belief was infectious. And a lot of people don't understand. They don't understand that somebody that believes in them is not responsible for their failure. I believe in lots of people that have, like, I've seen so many skills and talents in my bonus kids that they've never attempted to fill out and see where it would go, you know. But I don't hold it against them. And they don't hold it against me that I see that talent in them. It's just talent that they're not going to be able to work with. And everybody views each other differently. But they don't hate me for seeing that talent within them. Most of them are glad that I, see different parts of them, different parts of their personality. So, I just found it so tacky. The whole thing was just tacky. It was very Mean Girls. It was very drama. It was very, um, sketched out, pre-planned to create a emotional response and kind of manipulate people into choosing a side. You don't have to choose a side. You don't have to choose a side. So like I said, I really liked all his videos, but this has really left a bad taste in my mouth. This, for me, may be a deciding factor that I don't watch any more of his videos and I don't follow him anymore. That's my decision. Y'all can make your own decision. But I think that him going on here wanting to create a this or that response is not necessary, because you shouldn't have to choose. And for him thinking that because he had an issue with someone, all of his audience should have an issue with someone is, that's kind of what's got society in the crapper that it's in right now, don't you think? I mean, that's kind of why we're all sitting here looking like idiots today after the last few years, because we've allowed somebody else to dictate our world when it was not necessary. So for him to think that, I need to create this divisiveness and make them choose, you don't have to choose. And if he thinks you need to choose, it's probably an indicator you need to go the other way. There should not be this pressure. There should not be this need. There should not be a need to take their personal issue public. He made a bad adult decision. He signed a contract he shouldn't have signed. He put money where he shouldn't have put it, and it hurts. I get all of that. But nobody did those things but him. And just because somebody had a belief in him, it does not lock them into being obligated and responsible. Yeah, like he made fun of Ron because he wouldn't say "Let's go, Brandon." I have a "Let's go, Brandon" flag. I think it's freaking hilarious. But I also know I'm a different person. I view things differently than Ron. He may not think that's funny. He may have heard it so much to where it grates on his soul, and I understand that because there's certain things people say that grate on my soul, and I get irritated with, and I get that. So I kind of look at that like to each his own. We all have different things we can tolerate. I understand that, and he did not want to make somebody else's personal issue his personal issue, so he's like, I'm not going to do it. Move on. I'm not going to say it. Move on. But I find it so strange that on the other side, a grown man has to go on and demean, blast, ridicule, and it was like, dude, that was an opportunity. I'm sorry it's not going to work out for you, but it was your opportunity, it was your idea, it was your contract, it was your decision. And I'm not sure how you got to it being somebody else's fault. And, Ryan might have said, if you can apologize, we may talk about it. And as soon as he hung up, he might have thought, heck no, I'm just not even going to put my energy there anymore, and blocked you. So he just may have, the man is not worth my energy. And I commend him. Boundaries are great. I've met people that are not worth my energy. Just because you piss somebody off does not mean they owe you the chance to apologize. It might sound like a nice thing to do, but that person may be like, no, I'm sorry, it's just not worth it to open that door back up. It's only going to bring harm. I think that's a responsible thing. I don't think anything that these two try to talk out is going to end well. I think it's probably a responsible thing to be like, no, I'm sorry. I'm done. Block. I'm over it. Especially if he's going to be, the whipping boy the scapegoat for everything that he thinks is wrong. So I didn't see. I've never seen Ryan support BLM. I've never seen Ryan support BLM. Having an artist do a little blurb on a song is not supporting an agency. That's having an artist, a person, do a blurb on a song. Do I agree with who he had do the blurb on the song? No, I don't particularly care for Boozy. But having that artist do a blurb on the song for whatever skills that Brian thought he may bring to that song is not supporting BLM. And if you can make that leap, then you can probably make a whole lot of other unhealthy leaps. And I would say that you're leaping too much in life and you need to sit back and realize that chutes and ladders does not work with decision making. You have to really take things a step at a time and to not make those big jumps. You can't say just because this and this, and you can't do that. You can't do that. Yeah, you're right, Nick. Yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth responding. It's just going to end in a bad way. So I think it's best that he did block and walk away from this. I don't think anything positive is going to come from it. I think at this point, Heavy Duty is combative, angry, and it's just going to be a bad issue. And it just does not need. They don't need to. They need to walk away. Yeah, and I think that's why I think he had Boozy on, because he listened to Boozy growing up, so he has like an emotional attachment to Boozy's style and Boozy's voice, and I get that. So it's probably why he did have him on the record. And it's not my decision who he has on his records. So I might give an opinion that maybe we need to do a better background. It would make a lot of us feel better about it. But at the same time, it's his record. He pays for it. And he produces it. I don't have any say so. But to say that he supports a person, therefore he supports an organization, we can't start making those leaps so that we can entangle people the way we want to entangle them. That's how the left works. We can't do that. So supporting a person that is a standalone person, whatever that person supports on his free time is whatever. But when you bring him into work and you support him as a working artist, doesn't mean you support everything the man does in his life. So we don't need to jump to conclusions or try to create a narrative here, because that's what the left does. We need to be smarter than that. We need to know that he. I think it was probably emotional for him that he grew up listening to that voice and he wanted that voice in his song, and that's fine. Do I like Boozy? No, I don't. It's just personal preference. I don't like it, and behavior wise, I like him even less. But it's not my decision to make. But I can't say that because he supported Boozy as an artist that he supported everything Boozy supports, because that's not how that works. And everybody that thinks knows that that's true. You only make jumps like that when you're just absolutely grasping at straws. Sherry, I think, is it Sherry? I'm blind. I think Ray's going to have to take a step back. In his last answer, he said, "I have to be sketchy of everyone," and that hurts him. It hurts me to see him say that, but I understand why he has to put up that hedge of protection, because I've seen my other friends that are kind of famous have to deal with it, and it's horrible. It's atrocious what people will do because they think their fame gives them the right to treat them that way, and it's like, whoa, they're still a person. And so, everybody that comes on here that thinks they need to, like, we can snap the reins and Ryan will heal to us. I have opinions about his music. I have things I wish he would do better, but I also know that I don't pay for any of it, and it's his decision. Um, does he listen to his fan base? Yeah, I think he does quite a bit, but at the end of the day, it's his record, and he's going to make it the way he wants to. I think some of the things that was pointed out, he will probably be more aware of going forward. Um, but I also think that people say, "Oh, he's a celebrity, so therefore he, should be at my beck and call. And he should be perfect. He should do everything great. He should." No, he's a person. He's a person. And while you're having like this one issue we're having today, this one talk, he probably has 500 of these a day. I mean, he has to deal with so many people that will come at him with a bad motive or, a very negative energy. And this is something that he handles probably on a scale of, 10,000 times what we handle in our life. And so I understand why he's souring toward people. I understand why he's backing away. I understand why he's saying, no, I don't need this friendship as much as I thought I do. It's cost me too much, or it's, it's taking my energy. I understand why he has to make those decisions. It's just a shame that the other person on the other end of, that little interaction couldn't say, okay, we know a lot's changed in a year, and he may want to help me, but he's not in a place where he can now, so I'm going to have to do this for myself because it's my contract. That never entered that man's mind. The first thing that he wanted to do was attack, belittle, berate, demean, and then tear everything apart and create a division where you have to choose to like one or the other. You can't like both, and I just don't like people telling me what I can and cannot do. So when you come at me and you want me to be mad and you want me to adopt your emotion and you want me to adopt your view, I go, what are you scared of? And I think that Heavy Duty was scared of failure. It scared the crap out of him, so he had to pawn it off on somebody else. Failure's okay, man. It's part of life. It's a growing process. So, I just, imagine if you told your friend that you bought a candy bar and it was the best candy bar you'd ever eaten and they needed to try it. And so they went and opened up the stock portfolio and saw that that company had shares for sale, and they thought, well, my friend loves the candy bar. It's great. This is the best thing they've ever eaten. I want to buy 50-something shares, and it's very expensive. And life savings into a stock, and then that tanks. And you go and you call your friend and you go, I hate you. You said that this was great. You said it was going to make me money. You said it was the best thing you ever eaten. You need to pay me back because I lost all my money on your word. How did you lose money on my word? Well, I went and bought stocks. You bought stocks. Why did you buy stocks? You said it was great. Did you not try the product? Did you not test the product? Did you not think about that? That was basically the same thing. Own your decisions. Own your decisions. Walks like a duck, talks like a duck. Absolutely. I don't think Ron was exposed. I think this exposed Heavy Duty's behavior and his I think he's got a hair trigger. I honestly do. I think he's got a hair trigger, and I think we're starting to see it more. I've seen it a couple times and have been like, ooh, that was not necessary. We could have had so much a better argument and had a much better foundation for the argument if we had not gone there. But he went there. And I'm constantly now making excuses for him going too far, poor word choices that really are offensive. And I'm like, oh. And now this right here is just like, okay, well, he's willing to make anything anybody else's problem as long as he don't have to hang his hat on it and he can walk away and wash his hands at the end of the day. And I'm not okay with that. Because if you're going to be on a public platform and you're going to put yourself in the public eye and you're going to have these endeavors that are supposed to be public endeavors that fail, you just have to be secure enough in yourself to say, I didn't make a good decision. That's not where I'm going to put my energy off to another task. Instead of going, I just said he would help me. It's not his responsibility to help you. That's an adult decision. It's like, I don't know how people, you people that think Ryan was obligated to help him, how do you get through life? How do you get up and put your underwear on and wipe your own ass without thinking it's somebody else's job every day, day in, day out? Because basically you're saying, if I think it's your obligation, it should be. I mean, that's just like an open indentured servitude for all your friends and family. Just at a whim, if it's their obligation, by God, it should be, and you have no repercussions. And it's just like you can't have friendships and family and have a foundation of respect for other people if you live life like that. I've had friends like that, and I've gotten rid of them very quickly because they're toxic. Had a girl that wanted to, I grew up in the rodeo scene and showing livestock, doing rodeo, training horses, shoeing horses. And I had a girlfriend that was very much opposite of me. I'd known her my whole life. We'd known each other since kindergarten. That's why we were friends. We couldn't get away from each other in small towns. We just knew each other. I had a boy from a rodeo circuit 2 counties over move over to my area, bought a farm, started going to school, and she was like, do you know him? And I'm like, I know him from the rodeos. I mean, he's a good roper. He seems to be nice at the rodeos. He's always spoken to me. And she's like, well, I think I'm going to go out with him. He asked me out. And I was like, okay. Is there anything I should know about him? I only know him from the rodeo. So when I see him, I'm like in a 5-minute conversation before I'm going somewhere and he's going somewhere. I don't really know him, but what I've seen of him is fine. He's good at what he does, and he seems to be a nice person. I'm going to go out with him. Oh, okay, you do that. And then 2 days later, you should have told me he was a horrible person. I told you I only knew him from the rodeos, and he behaved at the rodeos. He seemed like a nice guy at the rodeo. Obviously, the rodeo is a very different dynamic than dating someone, and you were smitten and adamant you were going to ask him out and go out with him, so how am I responsible? You should have protected me. I was like 17th time, and I was like, really? Really, we get to pick the president next year, and you need me to protect you from who you might see as sexy enough to date? Really? I'm going to have to follow you around your whole life and be like, no, 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 I know better. You know, it's just like, why do you give people power in your life? You give it power so you can take it away. So if people say, oh, I couldn't do life without you, they can. They just need you there in case it goes wrong. Pay attention to these things. This is how they set up the dynamic. They don't need you there really to complete the task. They need you there in case it goes wrong so that they have a scapegoat. And that's what I was for. I was a scapegoat. So then when people be like, I can't believe he didn't, after that date, he didn't want to take you out again, and he told you no, that you were not his type, and he hurt you so bad. And then people look at me and be like, I can't believe you let him hurt her. I don't know him. I only know him from rodeos. I told her at the rodeos he's fine, but that's all I know him as. I did not grant her authority to date him. I did not say he is touched by Jesus. And so this girl for 3 years, every time she see me, she side-eye me. You cost me the most precious time of my life. You went on one date. I didn't cost you shit. And to this day, she's been married twice, and still she's like, I just lost trust in people, because even my friends weren't there when I got hurt. Seriously, you asked him out. And it's just I can't take ownership of this for you. We're now 40 years old. You've got 3 kids from 2 marriages. You obviously continue to not make the best decisions. I was not part of those either. Perhaps it's just you. But people don't want it to be them. They want options. They want to pawn it off on somebody. Every time I see this woman at Walmart, I go to the other aisle, because God forbid she buy Angel Soft when she should have bought Scott's, and I will chap her ass. It's just the responsibility overhangs, and it's just how do people get out of bed? And they get out of bed and do it because they can put off all the negativity onto other people, and they can go through life thinking they carry none of the burden of the hardship or the bad decisions. Gee, that must be special. How's it working out for you? Because you're going to be much better off if you own your decisions, if you make peace with them, if you think about them, and you know it's your decision, and you take ownership, because then you will have a much more active participant position with that decision, and you're going to have a much better result. Retired parole officer and counselor, I know these things. So, it's just, that's why people keep those friends around that they can blame anything on. It's not that they need you. They just need you to offload the negativity they don't want to be responsible for. Look at the dynamic. If you've got a friend that does this to you, look at the dynamic. What do you carry in that friendship? Shame? Yeah. Walk away from that. Fast. There are people that in their infinite wisdom, that is about that long, they think that they make these great decisions, and I'm going to keep this person around. And I'm going to just shun everything to them, and then I don't have to be responsible for the bad things. I can say she did it. And they go through life thinking that was a great thing, and I'm just so wise. And then they get to the end of their life and realize they've not been responsible for anything. So they can't own the bad, but then again, they can't own the good either, because they have no accountability. And the good things they've just basically stumbled into because they never made a decision thinking it was going to be good. They made a decision thinking it was going to be bad and having spare friends to blame it on. The good things just haphazardly happen. They never created the momentum in their life they needed, because they were always going into it wanting to pawn it off on someone else. And they really jacked up their life, and they cost themselves a lot of happiness. And I think that that's probably what's going to happen to this young man if he doesn't get out of that toxic way of seeing people as pawns, because people are not pawns. And he should have been thankful that somebody believed in him enough, whether it was blowing smoke up his butt or not. At least somebody was kind enough to make you have a moment of belief in yourself. I mean, my gosh, people, sometimes you can run with absolute stupidity and make things work. If you just believe, I would have said, hey, thanks for the weekend, thanks for the belief, thanks for all the talks, but I just don't think this is going to be something I can do on my own. And I know that at the end of the day, I have to rely on myself. I just can't do this. That would have been so much better than all this crap. It is. It's the blame game. And it's just a stupid blame game. If I've said something or I've done something, I've been like, yup, said that, yup, I did that. That either hurt me or it was good for me, and we'll talk about it. I don't care. I never go, oh, well, they really coerced me into that, and they made me do that, and they just plotted that for months, just so I would have that horrible, horrible experience, and so I'm going to let them carry that one. I'm not going to own that. That's crap. You have to own it all. It's your life. If you take your body and participate in things and are in the middle of it, you put yourself there. Nobody can, unless they tied you up and gagged you and bound you and put you in the middle of it. You have to own your life. You will have a much happier life if you take ownership. And just don't do this. Don't have extra people around just because you may need somebody as a scapegoat. Have people around because they support you and believe in you. But at the same time, don't do anything that you can't do yourself. Because at the end of the day, the only person you can count on is you. Friends are great. Family are great. But they're a separate entity. They're a separate person with separate responsibilities and a separate life. They don't live to make yours better. They have to worry about themselves. So only do what is right for you. And don't play the blame game and scapegoat it. It's just not good. It's just not good. No good deed goes unpunished. Is that not freaking true? So I hope that I hope people see it is for what it is. A bad communication relationship. Unhealthy expectations probably on both sides. Church was probably way too loose with the positivity because we know how he just wants to make everybody believe they can do it. Bless his heart. Dan was probably way too quick to believe he could. They both made bad decisions, and then they both walked out of each other's life with unhealthy expectations. Dan thought he was going to be able to call up church any 5 seconds he needed and get anything he needed from him because it broke for life. Upchurch had 5,000 new things to do and changed channels 15 million times in his brain, and we all know, out of sight, out of mind with Upchurch, that's how he works. But to walk away from adult and think that you're going to go 2 states away, 3 states away, and think that they're still responsible for something you signed into, it's just ludicrous in my mind. So, it's just crazy. Daniel, I appreciate you being here. Also, tell your woman, I am not on Insta a lot, but next time I'm on, I'm going to give her my information if she has Facebook, so because she likes to talk, but I'm never on Insta hardly at all. So if she wants to talk, she can reach me easier through Facebook, and I'll give her that information next time I'm on my iPad. So yeah, the best thing I can tell everybody is go through life owning your decisions. Only make decisions you're comfortable with. If you feel like you're making something in the heat of the moment with an altered frame or a biased perspective, take a moment, calm down, chill out, and everything you look at that is your opportunity, look at is your opportunity. No one else can help you with it. Nobody else can do it. The only way it's going to succeed is you and you alone. Is this something you can do on your own? Then by golly, go for it. If not, back away from it. Do not do something that you want to off-put on people that you love, because they will resent you when you make them pack your failure. Because it's not theirs to pack. And who would give people they love their failure to pack? Not a healthy relationship there. Too much going on. Gotta have some conversations there. So this is a great learning scenario. This is a great learning scenario because this is 2 grown men who should know better but didn't, and are having horrible communication, horrible expectations of each other. And one is like, dude, I was super nice, I was super kind, I was super helpful, thought I steered you in the right way, thought this is something you wanted to go for, gave you advice, you shouldn't have followed it if you didn't want to, but you're not going to call and cuss me out and peace them out. And the other guy's like, but wait, I still need to blame this on you. So at the end of the day, it's 2 grown men who should know better. But I'm getting real tired of the divisive nature when we all need to be together. We all don't need to be having these stupid little spats. when we have so much more to worry about in our world right now. And y'all, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself unto a fault, but never lay that fault on someone else. It's always yours. And always find the positives in others. Always, always praise others when they do things right or they have a talent or skill. But never, never be roped into their life. Never be roped into something that, is done with that skill. Always make sure that you stand on your own 2 feet. Always make sure that you make your own decisions. Always make sure that your judgment calls are yours and yours alone. Always make sure that decisions you make in adulthood are thought out when you're not biased or hyper emotional or in an altered state, which could be just being around a bunch of people that intoxicate you with their fame. Back out, think slowly, process, do a pros and cons list, give it 4 to 5 days, and then see how you feel about it. Make sure that everything that you sign on the dotted line, you have ownership over. Don't give that ownership to anyone else, because not only will it make you look like an ass, but it will take away the lessons that you will learn from the failure of that event, which may be what makes you succeed the next time. You're just gypping yourself. So, I love you, and yes, always, I have a different way of thinking because I've dealt with so much in the world. Yes, I have a different way of thinking. There needs to be growth all the way around here, but for the most part, I see more growth with Upchurch. I'm sticking with Upchurch. I'm done with Dan just because he seems to be combative when angry, and I'm not one of those people that's ready to go into the ring when I have a disagreement. Sorry. I have a disagreement. I use my words. So I'm just kind of not put my energy toward Dan. I don't think that's anywhere that I would want my energy to go. And if he's going to continue these attacks, I don't want to be part of those attacks. I don't want my energy going to make him think he should continue those things. So I'm just going to say I'm going to stick with Church on this one because I see growth. I see belief in others. I see kindness toward others. I see him amp others up to believe in themselves. And you know something? Yeah, it may have gone south for this guy, but look at the ones it's gone right for. I respect anybody that can see the good over the bad and focus on that. I don't think Dan can do that. Bless his heart. Bless his heart. Lord love him. And all the other things we say in the South. He needs to re-examine his motivations for making that video. The chipper has stopped next door and they've turned off the big light. So now I'm going to go and try to chill out and see if I can get my headache to go away. Mama Liz out. Love yous.